What is up, everybody? Welcome back to NFL Turf Talk. As you know, we are here to break down the Monday Night Football matchups. The Eagles and Bills dominated Monday Night Football. And then, of course, we're going to get into our updated power rankings. And then we're going to break down this shitty matchup between the Browns and the Steelers in 30 seconds.
One-on-one.
Lovett flares out to the right. Caught over the middle and into.
He's at the 45. Are you kidding? Oh! He's going to go!
Already gets hit. The ball is out. And Philadelphia has
it. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of NFL Turf Talk presented to you by DSM Media. You can find DSM Media on all social media platforms, including Twitter at DSM_media and TikTok DSM Media. I'm your host, Scotty. You can find me at Scotty Drown. I'm here with my faithful co-host, Dylan Davis. You can find him at DylanJD98 on Twitter and all social media networks. How are we doing today, Dylan? What's going on?
What's up, Scotty? I mean, I hope that the lag isn't too bad. Obviously the name's not on the screen, but yeah, I am in my if you guys have seen Fist First here on DSM Media, I'm in my man Steve's setup. We're hanging out. We're getting ready for some Thursday night football. So I was like, you know what? I'll come through. I'll hang out. We'll have some beers, but I cannot miss Turf Talk this Thursday because there's just too much to discuss from Monday night and what we're getting into this week. So I'm good, man. I'm in a different setting, but it's still me. It's still you. So let's get into it.
Yeah, man. Let's get it. And, you know, you talk about Thursday night football. Obviously, we're going to get into that. The more exciting part of this episode, at least for us, I think, is going to be the Monday night football recap.
Great quarterback matchup we have tonight.
Compared to the previous Thursday night matchup.
This is AFC divisional round. This is Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen-esque that we have going for us tonight on Thursday Night Football, Scotty.
Because what did we have first? We had the Rams and Bills. We had Matthew Stafford and Josh Allen week one Thursday night.
Oh, yeah. And then we had Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes, man, on week two. And then we come back to reality. They're like, okay, let's ease up on the Thursday night football. That's just the first game of the week. We don't need to put the best.
Oh, yeah, we're back to normal now.
Because,
we're back to normal.
A good point to that, like last week, I would have definitely preferred the Chargers and Chiefs game to be on Sunday. Like, I don't know, but maybe I don't. Maybe it's not, because then you get to watch it by itself. So I don't know. It is prime time still.
It's a fair point, although I did see the numbers literally 35 seconds ago before we went live here that last night's Thursday night football matchup between the Chargers and the Chiefs was like one of the highest viewed, highest rated record-rise that the NFL has seen in quite some time. So like it's all weird, man. Like obviously we would have liked to seen that on a normal Sunday or like a Monday night, but at the same time, like we're blessed to kind of see that Thursday night matchup. And now we're kind of back to the regularly scheduled program of the Jags and Houston-esque type of Thursday night football we're going to see going forward. But it's not as bad of a matchup as we could get into. Like it's the Browns and the Steelers. It's an AFC North battle. It's the quarterbacks may not be there, but the rest of their rosters are not that bad. Both have strong running games, so it's not going to be a terrible matchup. It's just when you talk about Jacoby Brissett and Mitchell Trubisky, it's probably what we do not find as ideal here as NFL fans.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to put it, but we won't get into that game too much right now. We'll start with the Bills and the Titans. Let's start modestly as Birds fans here. We can start with the Bills and the Titans. Obviously, the Bills pummeled the Titans, man. And I know we talked about that game on Monday night before the game, of course. And we knew that the Bills were going to win that game, but did we see it coming like 41-7? Ryan Tannehill benching? Like, what are your takeaways from that game, if you have any, aside from the Bills just being a monster right now?
So, I mean, you kind of hit on it, right? Like, did I know Buffalo was good? Did I think that Buffalo was the number 1 or 2 team heading into this year? Sure, I had them in number 2 in my power rankings heading into the opening kickoff game. But at the same time, did I know they would be this dominating the way they handled the Rams week 1 on Thursday night, the way they just dismantled the Titans, who I think a lot of people overestimated what the Titans could be as a possible playoff team in the AFC, or at least around a 500 ball club. I didn't see it with the loss of A.J. Brown and Ryan Tannehill as their quarterback. Sure. Yeah. I think more so the story to me is the king dethroned? Like the other night, he didn't get the ball a ton, Scotty, but the other night he finished with what? 25 rushing yards?
25 rushing yards, man.
Like, I know he scored a touchdown on the first or second drive of the game for Tennessee, but he doesn't seem to have that. I don't want to use the word explosiveness because he was never like an explosive type of back, but that dominating type of heavy run style. I'm going to run you over, get out of my way. It doesn't. I see a lot of tackles for loss, a lot of one-on-one tackles in the backfield, things I'm not used to seeing when it comes to Derrick Henry. And you saw that on Monday night again. And it's only 2 weeks, but it feels like I've never seen this for more than 2 quarters at a time before when it comes to the king. So the fact that you've seen it now for 8+ quarters, it's a little worrisome. And it's like, okay, well, if he's not the king anymore, what exactly is the Titans offense at this point?
Yeah. And that's where I'm at with you. Like, Derrick Henry, and I have to ask myself now, obviously Derrick Henry's coming off the injury, so I'm going to give him a little bit more time. And I know you will too. Like, I know we're just talking about it, but it's apparent in the first 2 weeks. He looks slower. He looks not as explosive as you mentioned. Is this an AJ Brown effect? And this is something I mentioned on Sunday on Monday evening as well. Do we finally just start to see the Titans deteriorating? And is Ryan Tannehill that bad without AJ Brown that he is getting benched for Malik Willis, in games? Now, obviously he's gonna start the next game, I would imagine. But go ahead.
I mean, put it this way, take it further than the Monday night matchup against Josh Allen and the Bills in Buffalo's home opener. Take it back to week 1 and it being at home against Danny Dimes and the Giants, who many of us mock and make fun of. Like Ryan Tannehill, you didn't come out here and just lose to a top 3 team in the NFL and in Josh Allen on the road. Right. You're now 0-2 coming off another bad loss against a quarterback you're expected to be better than. And right now, no, I would not rank Ryan Tannehill ahead of Daniel Jones at this point through 2 weeks of the season. And if we're talking about that already, I think that spells trouble for this Titans offense. You talked about the loss of A.J. Brown, which is obviously catastrophic right now. They brought in Robert Woods, but coming off of an injury, Robert Woods was never A.J. Brown to begin with. Robert Woods was a number 2 in L.A. You can't expect him to come off an injury and be a number 1 in Tennessee. They obviously bring in Treylon Burks, who's been – it's been fine, but you can't – it's basically like asking what the Eagles asked of Devontae Smith last year. To a greater extent, it's like asking this kid to come in and be a stud number 1. And when the king's not the king, that quarterback that's already a question mark seems like even more of a question. It seems like an exclamation point rather than a question mark at this point.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. And, it even points further. Like, I just think back to all the times where, Derrick Henry has missed a game or two and how bad the Titans offense looks.
Remember when Ryan Tannehill was an MVP candidate heading into last season? Remember that?
Yeah, man. Isn't that crazy? Just
people
how
people drank that juice. They drank that Kool-Aid.
I was drinking it partially. I won't even be shy about that. I did not pick him as an MVP, but I thought he was going to have a good season. I thought the Titans were going to be really dominating. But yeah, man, what a downfall from what we've seen. Maybe just even 2 years ago for the Tennessee Titans. And in this game, there was no Gabe Davis for the Bills. There was no Tre'Davious White. The same people were out for the Bills, and they're just rolling right now. Stephon Diggs in that game, monster. We talked about Tyreek Hill on Sunday, and then he comes back.
Well, here's the thing. Actually, on Monday night, we talked about the game Tyreek Hill had, and how much of a top 5 wide receiver he was. And not that Stephon Diggs wasn't a top 5, top 6 wide receiver, but we quite literally on this show here said Stephon Diggs is never going to post those kind of numbers in a game. And I mean, Scotty, if you can't get any closer to 180, 190 and 2 touchdowns, I mean, 160 and 3 touchdowns just about does it, right? Like Stephon Diggs said, yeah, hold this real quick.
Put some respect on it. Yeah.
Quick.
Hey.
Yeah. And then listen, it was never disrespect. Yeah. Like we were never calling Stephon Diggs not a top 5, not top 6 wide receiver. And I stand by it. I'm not switching up because of the Monday night performance. I stand by the fact that I think Tyreek Hill is a better wide receiver than Stephon Diggs. But obviously, he could put up type of numbers I didn't think he was capable of.
Yeah. And I mean, they were force feed. I mean, Josh Allen was going to the well, but he was breaking that Titans defense down, man. How do you feel about one? Well, let me go to Drew's first comment. Willis era by week 7, kind of realistic.
It's on its way.
And then Jags win the division.
I mean, as of this moment, you can't find too much of a counter argument for it, unless you're just banking on previous history. Yeah. Unless you're just banking on the fact that Matt Ryan's going to snap out of it, the fact that they have Jonathan Taylor and this defense and yada, yada, yada. But outside of just like thinking about, previous history, the Jaguars look like the best team in that division through 2 weeks. Again, it's 2 weeks, man. You can't come out and I get it. Like he's making a prediction. I get it. I like it.
And it's a fair prediction nonetheless.
Sure. But it is semi early to make to stand by that kind of prediction. Like, you know what? The Colts are washed. The Jags are winning the division. It's not I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's also not a given. It's too early in the season.
2 weeks in. Yeah. Yeah. I do think this division could be the NFC East, the new NFC East
of the NFL. First of all, I need people to stop clowning the NFC least, because the NFC least has the best record division-wise through the NFL and through 2 weeks. I need people to realize that.
Yeah, not anymore, man.
We breaks on that NFC least shit, right?
We're coming for some respect. And speaking of the NFC,
I do agree with this comment that what you just said and what he's saying. I think it is the worst division in football. I agree. I do think it. I think that's the AFC South is the worst division in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I think that's a non-arguable clause there. And moving on to the NFC East, we had a particular team have a very dominating performance on Monday night. Those being the Birds. And I know we already talked about it on
I don't care. Talk about it again.
We got to bring it to Turf Talk. We got to talk about it. I mean, what a hell of a performance. We talk about Jalen Hurts. We talked about this on Monday night as well. Jalen Hurts' signature game, the biggest game of his career. And will he show up? And what did this guy do? He comes out 26 for 31, only had 5 incompletions, 333 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. We'll get to kind of the flaws in this game, which I saw Phil going in on the flaws earlier this morning. I get it. We could talk about those a little bit. 11 carries, 57 rushing yards, two rushing touchdowns, which I mean, both of them pure want and pure will in those runs. Just talk about angry runs. Yeah, the second one was nasty. So coming out of the 24-7 win over the Vikings, you had a dominating performance by Darius Slay, dominating performance by the defense in general. But what are your instant takeaways? What is the one thing that you're going to right now when I ask you about this game?
I mean, listen, man, I talked about this with my roommate earlier, and kind of what my major takeaway was from this game in terms of Jalen Hurts. And I think all the questions that I had and that we had of Jalen Hurts as a passer this year, listen, I'm not saying it in full confidence that those questions are gone, but in terms of, can he do these things? Can he make these throws? Can he those questions are gone. It's not a question anymore of if he can. It's how consistent can he now? Now it's not, I'm heading into game day of, can he do this? Will he do this? It's, how will he do this? What will he look like doing this? Yeah. So in 2 short weeks, I have fully changed my mind on Jalen Hurts. And I'm not trying to jump the gun here, and I'm not trying to crown him an MVP. I'm not doing that. I'm not crowning the Eagles Super Bowl champions. I'm not doing anything of that sort, right? But when you look at offensively and what he accomplished on Monday Night Football, Scotty, I said it heading into the game, it was the biggest game of this kid's career up to this point. Now, obviously, that's crazy to say considering they had a road playoff game last year, but we all kind of knew what the expectations were. Regardless if we picked them to win the game because we're Eagles fans and we wanted to see them succeed, we all kind of knew what the ceiling was of him and of that offense and of this team that time last year. Now, you fast forward to this time this year, and you look at the weapons and what can he do, and we all knew he had the intangibles to put the work in this offseason, and that he was working out with A.J. Brown all this offseason prior to the trade. Man, all these things showed in big-time fashion. Scotty, he didn't just show up. He showed out. 26 of 31, you talk about, that's an 80% clip. At that moment, he hit Quez Watkins on that deep ball. Now, mind you, that's a blown coverage regardless, but he spotted the blown coverage and he dropped it in stride to one of the faster receivers in the NFL. Something that I wasn't sure he could do on a deep ball. Every throw he made on Monday night, Scotty, was on a rope, was a dart. Even the incompletion of Dallas Goedert, which, he dropped and should have came down with, might have been the best throw of the night. The incompletion rolling to his left to Quez Watkins down the sideline, which was called back due to penalty, might have been the best throw of the night. The knock on him last year was we all know what he can do against man coverage, right? Defenders' backs are turned towards the backfield. Maybe he's got one linebacker, one safety. He can pick up chunk yardage with his legs against man coverage. So we know he can beat man coverage. He got a lot of zone on Monday night, Scotty, and he tore up a zone coverage all Monday night. Now the question, what do you do defensively if you know you can't stop his athleticism and his legs and man, and now he's picking apart pre-snap and throughout a route in zone coverage? The kid was phenomenal. Dude, you can't quarterback a game better than he did Monday night. You can go back to the Super Bowl. You go back to the NFC Championship game. You go back to the Final Four run of Carson Wentz in 2019. I'm not saying they're all not close, but in terms of numbers, in terms of production, in terms of just throw after throw, that's as good as you could possibly expect out of anybody. And I'll leave it here. I said this the other morning. If Jalen Hurts plays to that level, the Eagles can beat anybody. Let me repeat that for 1 second. If Jalen Hurts plays to that level of quarterback, the Philadelphia Eagles can beat anybody. I don't mean they can beat the Dallas Cowboys for the NFC East. I don't mean they're in the conversation with the Bucs and the Rams in the NFC. I mean they can flat out beat anybody across the league if he plays that well in a game. That's how special it was.
Let me ride your coattail a little bit there, even further, and say that you mentioned the consistency is now the goal now, right? We know that he can do it. He can do what we need him to do to win against good defenses. When they're keying in on his legs, and mind you, he was still able to use his legs because that's what's going to happen when he's able to air the offense out like he was able to with his arm on Monday Night Football. He's going to get even more openings with his legs now because they're not going to be able to stand back in a zone and just pick spots and make him pick spots, right? But when you talk about the consistency, what that comes with is a mindset and leadership and accountability and ultimately just putting the work in each and every day to make sure you stay at that level or get even better. And what's the one thing that we knew about Jalen Hurts before this performance? It's that he has that. He has all the intangibles. He has all of the characteristics that drive you. It's the Kobe mentality. We can be honest about it. It's the Mamba mentality of wanting to be the greatest, wanting to be perfect.
The standard, right? It's what he talks about. The standard.
Yes, thank you. Yes, the standard. What he has been preaching after the first 2 wins. They've left food on the table. He said that himself after that Monday Night Football performance.
They
That
did.
shows you what he's working with, what
the
type of characteristics he's working behind.
I mean, the final score of the game was done in the first half. It was 24-7 at the end of the first half. And Scotty, that's another thing I didn't even mention. Here's two other things. Not only was every throw on a rope throws I didn't see him make last year, progressions, etc. He stood in the pocket, took shots to his chin when he delivered a strike, etc.
Yes.
He spread the ball around. What was week 1? Oh, well, he force-fed A.J. Brown, blah, blah, blah. Wrong. Dallas Goedert had, 5 or 6 catches for 82 yards. Devontae Smith had 7 for 80. A.J. Brown had 5 for 69. Quez Watkins had 2 for 69. So on and so forth. Zach Pascal had 2. Kenny Gainwell had 2. He spread the ball around. He read the checkdowns when he was supposed to.
Money on third down.
Think about how impressive that final possession of the first half was. You got the ball on your own 5-yard line with a minute and a half, 2-minute drill type of situation going on here. And with ease almost, he drove them to about Minnesota's 25, 30-yard line for a last-second field goal.
He took
that was one of the better drives I've seen of his career.
He took absolutely everything they gave him. Like, he made them pay.
Confidence, control. Everything he had, and he finished the game, and even throughout the game, he had a swagger about him. He had confidence about him. He knew Scotty, here's the thing. Some of these throws, some of these crossing routes you see over the middle of the field, some of these, the 3rd and 13, he completed to A.J. Brown in a tight window, all these things, those are throws I'm not sure you see him attempt last season.
Yeah.
He's not only attempting them.
And they're on a rope, man.
Yeah, man, he's completing them on a dime at the moment. And that's trust, right? That's trust in your best friend in A.J. Brown. That's building trust over the last year plus with Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. So everything I think you're seeing in the offseason is paying dividends through the first 2 weeks here with Jalen Hurts. And it's a special thing to watch because like I said, and like you said, it's no longer can he, if he can, will he make these throws? Can he progress? Those questions are answered. It's now how consistently can he do these things? Because here's the basic thing. I'm on an all-time high. Forget restrictions on this team. Forget restrictions on Jalen Hurts. I'm all out in the open with this team. The problem is, not the problem, but now you have to come out Sunday on the road against the division rival and show me again. Yeah. Dude, I'm not talking about 80% completion and 333
but just
yards.
Go out there and play confidently. Like that.
Not show up like you did in the Giants game last year. Because then all those question marks are going to come back to surface. Yeah. I need you to do it not that consistently, not the numbers you put up last week consistently, but quarterback consistently throughout this year now.
And I think and that's my point. I think that's something that he will excel at. Like, he has put the work in so much that he's gotten himself to this point where we no longer ask those. What do we got going on?
I'm sorry. My cousin, let me see if I can get him on the line. My cousin was just cutting Lane Johnson's hair, and he tried to call me, and I told him to call me at the show, and he just said he was walking out of Lane's house.
Oh,
hold on,
damn.
Let me see. Hold on. He's connecting now. Yo, you're in the car? I'm on now, bro. I didn't know you were calling me live. I was trying to introduce you, right? We can do it again. I'm going to see him again. Don't worry about it. Circle back around. I can't show you his house.
Don't can't just walk up in his house again.
Don't show me his house. Just call him or text him and say that I want to say what's up and have him come outside. I won't show his house or nothing. I'm on, dude. I'm on. We're live right now. Just, dude, hang up the phone. Hang up the phone. Call him back. Hang up. What? All right, but hang up the phone and call Lane back and just see if you can get him to talk for 2 seconds. See, he was like, he doesn't do podcasts. I'm not asking him to do a podcast. I just need to go birds from him or something. You should have just heard the conversation I just had with. Oh, bro, it was so killer. Just call him back. I don't care.
So killer.
Just call. Just call him back and tell him I just need to go Birds real quick. Or, yo, timeout. Not even go to his house. Ask him if you can call him and just put him on the line and tell him I just need to just say, can you say go Birds or whatever? Yeah, that's all I need. Call him, and if he answers, call me back, and I'll answer the phone real quick. Dude, just do it. Look at me and Scotty. Do us this favor. Just call him. Tell him, yo. Just tell him we need to go Birds. I'm not showing his house. You're out of the neighborhood. Nothing. I just need to go Birds.
I can definitely get that from Kelsey. Kelsey's the coolest dude ever.
You'll call him?
What, you want me to
FaceTime, call. What? All I need is a go Birds, real quick.
He's an animal. It'd be great to have him.
Yeah. So can you just do that real quick? I don't need anything else out of you.
You want me to let him FaceTime you?
No, you can call him and add me to the call.
Oh, okay. All right. I got you.
All right. Call me and I'll answer it.
All right. Let me see what's up.
All right. Okay. Now listen. This is something I wasn't expecting, but Scotty, I mean, we have to answer for Jason Kelsey or Lane Johnson, right?
Yeah, of course.
So for those of you who don't know, I'm going to have my phone right here. That is my cousin Joe. He is the owner and one of the barbers at Gents Barber Lounge, which is now a proud sponsor of DSM Media. He does cut Lane Johnson and Jason Kelsey's hair. He was calling me mid-show. And I didn't answer because obviously I'm on here live with Scotty. So I texted him and said, yo, can I text you after or call you after? And he texted me and said, dummy, I was just with Lane on FaceTime. We were trying to FaceTime you. So if we can get a call back from him, then that'll make the show. But Scotty, I mean, we probably lost track of where we were at. My bad. But if this can happen, man, this is a big spot in Turf Talk history.
Hell yeah! If it doesn't happen today, man, it's only a matter of time. I mean, we got him as the official sponsor of.
I mean, if it doesn't, I'm egging my cousin's house. It's not a big deal.
We'll hook it up regardless. But let's.
I know, Mrs. Scotty. I know. I gotta listen. I didn't think it was important. I thought he was calling me about some nonsense. And next thing you know, Lane Johnson, the best right tackle in football, is on the phone.
I know.
I didn't know.
So, unless that pops up again, we'll definitely readdress that. If you get a call, just let us know. We'll shut it down real quick.
It's sitting right next to me, man. I'm waiting for it.
So just, we already got into Hurts. We talked about the magnificent game that Hurts played. And just to kind of carry on to that, you were talking about him spreading the ball around to Dallas Goedert, for instance. So brought me to my good point of, praising Dallas Goedert, one of my favorite players on the Birds. 5 receptions, 82 yards, 16.4 yards per catch in that game. He's 4th in the NFL in yards after catch right now with 103 yards after catch. One of the best guys with the ball in his hands right now on the field. He ranks 1st in yards per catch at 17.8 yards per catch, and he's 3rd in receiving yards amongst tight ends at 142 yards total through 2 games. So my man is trying to pick it up, and it seems like he's getting more and more.
Too.
He's got to get in the end zone, and he's got to catch that pass we were talking about earlier from Jalen Hurts, which was probably one of Jalen Hurts' best passes of the night there. It's important. I mean, he's in the middle of the show, Mom. Relax. But no,
listen. If I knew it was what it was about, I would have answered the phone.
So, I mean, where do we start off here now? Picking up after
we talked all about Jalen Hurts in this offense. We have to give credit at some point on this show to Darius Slay and Jonathan Gannon and the defensive side of the ball, because that was just a performance that none of us were expecting to see, right? Like we all came into the game having faith and belief, in the offensive side of the ball, right? Defensively, we were like, well, if they got gashed by Swift and Williams and the Lions offensive line, If Goff had a field day and they couldn't get pressure on him, how are they going to get pressure on Cousins? How can they slow down or stop or limit Justin Jefferson? Scotty, they answered all those questions and more.
Yeah.
There was pressure consistently throughout the game on Kirk Cousins. Not a ton, not as much as I would like to see. But they did blitz more. Cousins' numbers against the blitz were very bad. They completely took out the rushing attack of the Minnesota Vikings. I believe Dalvin Cook had like under 25 or 30 yards rushing. Madison was a non-factor. Justin Jefferson was put in max security prison by Darius Slay. Darius Slay was targeted 6 times, allowed 1 catch for 7 yards, 2 interceptions in coverage against Justin Jefferson. It was flat out probably the best defensive back performance I can remember in my lifetime, if not a very, very long time in an Eagles uniform. The defense answered all the questions. So as much as we're going to rip Jonathan Gannon for the ending of the Lions game, you have to give him credit and this defense credit for what they were able to do against Minnesota.
Yeah, and it was kind of what we talked about before the game as well. It was just, like you said, they answered all the calls. They answered all the questions. Shutting down Dalvin Cook, shutting down the run game after you let Swift and Jamal Williams tear you up with the Detroit Lions. You hold Dalvin Cook to under 30 rushing yards. I mean, Kirk Cousins was their leading rusher in this game. That shows you what the Eagles were able to do. They were able to get pressure throughout the game. They were able to put pressure on Kirk Cousins, as you mentioned. And just Jonathan Gannon letting these players be themselves and show their talents. Put them in positions where they can really excel at what they're doing. And that's what you saw with Darius Slay. He was able to follow Justin Jefferson around the entire night, and we saw him shut down Justin Jefferson. So what that does for me, that gives me confidence going into any matchup now. You play the Bills. Now, I'm not going out on a limb and saying we're better than the Bills or anything like that, but when you play the Bills, I have trust that Darius Slay is going to follow around Stephon Diggs and play him the entire game. Even when you play for the Dolphins or the Raiders, whatever the case may be, that Darius Slay is going to be able. He's going to be enabled to follow that player around. That's something that we did not know before this game. We didn't know who was going to be following around Justin Jefferson or if they were just going to go with the flow. But Jonathan Gannon definitely surprised us. These guys were all over the ball. I mean, every pass that got there, it had to be in a tight window. And it was one of the best defensive performances in quite a while. But I think the positive out of that is they can still get better. And that goes for the offense as well. They can still get better in this season. And what I'm talking about is guys like Hassan Reddick. We have not had a Hassan Reddick. I did see some clippings from him doing some very good pass coverage where he made a complete difference in the play. But nonetheless, we have not seen the typical Hassan Reddick that gets in the backfield and is very disruptive throughout the game. So that is like the next step for me. Jordan Davis sighting. When does he step up and have a game? There's all these instances where we haven't even seen, a Marcus Epps best game yet, right? Or Chauncey Gardner-Johnson have a great game. So like we still have room for guys to have a game. And that's what's so exciting because there's so much talent on this defense. And I'll even take it back to the offensive end on that note, having so much room to grow. Think about all the ineligible men down the field calls that we had called us in that game. I mean, it was ridiculous. Cut those out, and what does that look like? I mean, there's just so much room to grow here with this Birds.
I agree.
Team.
Like you said, they didn't play technically to the standard. There was a lot of food left on the table. They left a lot of points out on the table. But defensively, like we talked about, once again, you kind of saw Kaiser White and TJ Edwards flash. You saw James Brad. Like, here's another thing. I didn't even mention this, dude. Adam Thielen was a non-factor. Like, this wasn't, okay, you took away Justin Jefferson, but this was a typical Adam Thielen versus the Eagles type of game where he goes off. And no, there was none of that. There was maybe 3 catches for first downs, and that was it for Adam Thielen. Obviously, I know Irv Smith dropped the touchdown, and I saw some of Phil show it, and I get it. Listen, man, no one's like, if anybody's crowning or having full faith or optimism in Jonathan Gannon, then you're wrong. Like, no one should have utter belief in Jonathan Gannon because of one great week. But it is a step in the right direction. So if we're going to criticize and critique and blame Gannon and this defense for everything wrong in week 1, you have to tip your cap and give credit where credit's due in week 2. Now, does that mean you're going to see the same type of defensive output in week 3? No, but it's the wait and see kind of game. Like if you see Gannon, if you see Jalen Hurts start to put together these type of performances through week 3 and week 4 and week 5 and so on and so forth, maybe not to the extent of 7 points given up defensively or 80% completion percentage, but you get my point here.
Yeah.
Then the utter belief kind of comes to play, and you start to disagree with any slander. But for the time being, no one should just be like, oh well, Jonathan Gannon's the answer. That's it. One great game, but no, that's not the case. But there shouldn't be really any negatives today after what the Eagles were just able to accomplish on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, it's a matter of don't come out and lay an egg against DC. And we'll obviously get into that on Sunday. But it's like you said, just with Jalen Hurts, right? Bring that consistently. That's what we need to see from Gannon now as well. We need to see a consistent game plan where it's excelling in all of our players' talent. And that's what we need. Quick shout out to Darius Slay, big play Slay. Somebody we've talked about on here a lot. Top 5 corner. Hey, everybody was crucifying me on TikTok, man. I put that on the DSM TikTok, and he is really backing me up with his play so far through this season. Number 1 graded coverage cornerback in the NFL through 2 weeks so far with Darius Slay. 2 interceptions, 5 pass deflections in that game against Justin Jefferson against the Minnesota Vikings, where he locked down a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL, put him in jail. So shout out to Big Slay, man.
Well, real quick, I think that's what was most impressive about the Darius Slay performance as a defensive back, right? It's not just the 2 interceptions and the pass breakups, and it's the fact that he took on the assignment. And also, again, credit to Jonathan Gannon, because I don't think any of us believed Jonathan Gannon was going to allow Darius Slay to follow Justin Jefferson one-on-one. And he did. He put his faith in Darius Slay, but Darius Slay takes on that assignment of a top 2, top 3 kind of young wide receiver in the NFL up to this point, which you just saw him tear up a top defense in Green Bay the week previously to that. And the whole topic of conversation this whole week was, oh my God, what are they going to do against Justin Jefferson? How can they possibly slow Justin Jefferson down? And Darius Slay put him in max security. There were no questions. There was no stone unturned. There were no questions left to be asked after that performance. And miss me with the first, how the first one, he held his arm for half a second and people want to complain about the flag not thrown there. And I'll tell you this flat out, and this isn't a knock.
Smith call.
Put it this way.
Smith.
Put it this way. This isn't a knock on Justin Jefferson or his character or his talent. But on the first Slay interception, when he undercut the route and Jefferson ran behind him, I don't know about you, but I saw a wide receiver that gave up on the route. And what that tells me is he was frustrated and he was annoyed and aggravated with how the game had been going so far for his matchup. Yeah. And he gave up on that route in the end zone, and he ran behind Slay and allowed Slay to undercut it, put up little to no effort or fight to bring him down or to deflect that pass, and it was just going the other way. And that's how much Darius Slay was in Justin Jefferson's back pocket from the opening jump. So it was the best defensive back performance I can remember in a while. It was the best quarterbacking performance I can remember in a while. Hats off to Jonathan Gannon. Nick Sirianni pumping up the Eagles crowd yet again after, in the final minute or 30 seconds of a game. It was amazing. And there's really no complaints. I mean, sure, I don't need to see Hassan Reddick drop back in coverage anymore. The offensive line has a little, a couple too many penalties so far through 2 weeks, couple ineligible men downfield so far. But outside of that, everything's sunshine and rainbows right now in Philadelphia land, Scotty. It's great.
Yeah. I think it's it's a good way to put it. And just to kind of coattail on your point about Justin Jefferson giving up. I think he gave up on that play, not only gave up on the rest of the game as well. Because even on the second interception, he did not look interested in trying to out-hustle Darius Slay for that ball. And Darius Slay should have probably had 4 or 5 interceptions in that game if he had hands. That's a whole other combo.
Well, here's the thing. People like to say that, and don't get me wrong, he might have had 3, but I love when people are like, oh, well, he should have had 4. Well, here's the thing, guys. If he picks off the first one in the end zone, that means there's no opportunity for the last one in the end zone, which means there is no 4. Like that takes away that one. So, like, you could argue one earlier in the game to make it 3, but like that doesn't mean there would have been 4 because that possession would have been over. So I love when like people are like he should have had 5 interceptions. No, because then the final one wouldn't have happened.
Shout out to Maddox too. He had a pick too. Good for Avante. I saw him stick Justin Jefferson early in that game, set the tone. It's great what the Eagles are doing right now, and hopefully we keep it up. We're gonna definitely dig in to that matchup with the former Carson Wentz on Sunday. So look forward to that. Definitely tune into Turf Talk on Sunday for that. With that being said, I think it is now time. We're about 40 minutes into the show. We spent a lot of time on the Birds, of course.
I can't believe I didn't answer the phone. I can't believe I didn't answer the phone, man. I haven't got a text back, a call yet.
It'll be all right, man. We'll have more opportunities. We'll be doing this for years. So just put the seatbelt on, get straddled in.
Buckle up. All right.
Okay, so we got the power rankings, updated power rankings for week 3. Me and Dylan side by side. Here we go. So just looking at the discrepancies between the two. We both got Eagles top 5. You got them a little bit higher than me, but nonetheless top 5.
We also have 6 through 10 the same.
We have literally 6 through 10 the exact same.
And the top 2 the same.
So really just 3 through 5 that's a little mixed up. We actually just have them in a reverse almost, it looks like. But nonetheless,
we do.
What sparked the 49ers into the top 10?
How do I say this politely? Listen, no, not even laughing. Like it's terrible the way that Trey Lance's season just ended, but
yeah,
from what it was like 1 or 2 possessions into week 2, so there's no answers on what Trey Lance was, but I truly do believe that this team is better under center with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, and
that's as simple as it kind of gets. He came in, he had success yet again. They won by a large score, and I don't know. I think they're a more a veteran team. I think they're more a solidified team. Now, I think the ceiling might be a little lowered. Obviously, we kind of know what Jimmy Garoppolo is. Can he really get you over that hump and win you a Super Bowl? Probably not by himself, but with that defense, with Deebo Samuel, George Kittle hasn't even played yet. He's going to get healthy. Elijah Mitchell, who knows how long he's out for, but I think they're just better. I think they're a better team with Jimmy Garoppolo than they are with Trey Lance. I'll put it that way. I think they're a more solidified team, and they're coming off a win. They're 1-1 now. So, yeah, they made it back into my top 10 after being kicked out.
I agree, and I'll piggyback you there. The whole reason they're in my top 10 is because of Jimmy G and what he showed at the end of that game against the Seahawks. They were able to blow the Seahawks out, right? That's a Seahawks team we saw take Russell Wilson and the Broncos to the wire. So I thought the 49ers really played a hell of a game against the Seahawks on Sunday. We already knew what they had around the quarterback position. I agree with you. The ceiling, just because Trey Lance was a question mark, the ceiling may not. It may be, but it may not be as high with Jimmy G. We don't know. But what we do know is that this team made it to the NFC Championship last year to play the Rams. Was it that? Yeah, it was the NFC Championship. They played them in the NFC Championship and lost. They made it to the NFC Championship. They've made it to the Super Bowl with Jimmy G at quarterback in previous seasons. We know that they're a playoff team with Jimmy G. It's as simple as that. He played the part. He looked happy to be playing again. He almost looked like I told you so in his face in a sense. But nonetheless, that was enough for me to put the San Francisco 49ers back in the top 10 because I think they're going to be rolling. And the way the Rams have looked, the NFC West, you tell me. I don't know. The way the Rams have looked,
the Rams are
you never know. What'd you say?
No, for sure. The Rams are an interesting bunch right now. Like they're 6 right now. Technically, they could be a little bit lower with the way they've played through 2 weeks, but at the same time, knowing the upside of the roster and of the team and feeling like they've yet to peak, they have top 1, top 2 potential on them. That's why, like, if you look at mine in your roster, like we both have the Bucs at the Eagles. I have the Eagles a little bit higher. 110% can I see the Eagles being a top 3, top 2 team in the league so far? Yes, they play to that capability, but this, like, I need to see, like, I had the Bucs ahead of the Eagles last week. The Bucs won. A tough divisional road game. It didn't look so pretty, but like I can't definitively be like, well, the Eagles leaped the Bucs yet. And I think the same for you. Like you have them behind them as well.
Yeah.
So it's like the same thing with the Rams. Like, do I have them ahead of the Rams? Yes, but can I definitively say right now that I would take the Eagles to beat the Rams?
Right.
No, I can't through 2 weeks. We'll see.
The Eagles have played better than the Rams. They played more together as a team. The defense has definitely been a little bit better than the Rams. And, just that is my main concern with the Rams. They don't look the same defensively. They're giving up points to Marcus Mariota, which if you watch any part of that game against the Falcons with the Rams, Marcus Mariota looked terrible. He looked terrible. Horrible. And so what that shows you is that the Rams are just sitting there shooting themselves in the foot the entire game. And that's not a good consistent culture to build. You want to get that out of your system as soon as possible. So you hope to see that in week 3. But that ultimately is why the Rams have dropped on my list. You look at the Chargers. I have the Chargers a little bit higher than you. I think that those are minor discrepancies in my eyes. I think when you look at the Chargers, Justin Herbert gets injured in that game against the Chiefs, right? They give up the lead. And it is that typical Chargers fashion, but I still think it was a good game. Like at the end of the day, the Chargers did play the Chiefs really tough. So it is hard to measure the Chargers right now, I would say. We'll see how they come out against the Jags this week and if Justin Herbert's really beat up. The Kansas City Chiefs, we agree they're number 2 now on both of our lists. It's hard to deny. The defense has been way better than what we have expected. And the offense is it's Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he is the guy. And it
is.
It's hard to argue. Like, the way the Chiefs have been playing, I'm not sure that they can't beat the Bills. Like, honestly, like that.
No. I'm not saying that at all with my rankings. Let's make that one thing very clear here. I am not saying that the Bills would beat the Chiefs straight up. What I'm saying is the 2 overall performances, the domination by Buffalo, the play of by both sides. Buffalo totality is number 1 in the power rankings. That does not mean that it's any slight to Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen. I would take Patrick Mahomes over Josh Allen at this very moment. I don't care what you say. I don't care what he's looked like. I would do that. It's been actually impressive what he's been able to do post Tyreek Hill. The Chiefs are a lot better than expected, man. And we said heading into last Thursday night's matchup, it's going to set a tone. Whoever wins this game, the Chargers start off 2-0, beating the Chiefs in Arrowhead. It's going to set a tone of it's Justin Herbert's time. It's their time. On the reverse side, if the Chiefs win this game, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy are like, whoa. Where did this whole 3 or 4 seed in the AFC West kind of come about? Now they're 2-0. They're a top team in the league still. Patrick Mahomes looks unstoppable at the moment. Would the Bills would beat the Chiefs and Josh Allen? I mean, listen, Scott, I think this is your boy, man.
A lot to take in.
Listen, I'm going to say this politely. Scotty, get your boy. Get your boy. No, I'm kidding.
That's a lot to take in right there.
I'm kidding, man. I am kidding. But I do disagree on both sides.
I'm not taking Mahomes. I'm not taking Allen over Mahomes.
I'm not saying the Bills wouldn't beat the Chiefs, but I'm not definitively saying it. But no, I'm not taking Josh Allen over Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
No.
I'm still taking Mahomes over Allen, just especially what.
By the way, D-Rab, I'm kidding, man. I was not. Not sounds got to get you seriously.
And the Bills, I would lean Bills in that game, but it's not that the Chiefs can't win.
Yeah.
Hey, fair enough. You got to live by your take, and
we welcome all takes.
I guess. It gets Dylan really fired up. That's all. It's arguable, nonetheless.
I don't get the disrespect to the best player in the league at the moment. I really don't.
He's balling right now, man. He's literally balling. They're both balling, but Mahomes is balling something serious. So I don't know. I'm with you. I'm not taking Allen over Mahomes just yet. Finally, Packers, right? The Packers in at number 9. And then obviously the Vikings out of mine. The Bengals out of mine as well. Bengals, yeah, you're done.
So first off, for the Packers, I had them I think I had them at 10 last week. I'm not sure where you had them.
I had them at 10 as well.
Yeah, I mean they move up slightly. They're 1-1. Obviously, Rodgers and the offense look better at home against the Bears team. It's not much of an improvement. But it's a long season, so I'm not going to write them off completely yet. In terms of the Vikings were an I don't want to say overreaction because I still think they're a good team. They could still very easily win the NFC North, but the Vikings were kind of in the moment. They beat up on the Packers week 1. Of course, they deserve to be over the Packers at the moment. But then when you see what the Eagles did to them, I don't think the Vikings are more deserving than any of the bottom 3 or 4 teams we have in our power rankings at the moment. So that's why I had the Vikings out and the Bengals. I mean, listen, man, no disrespect. I think they turn it around this week. I'll tell you that. Tell you that much. -5 against the Jets. I think Jamar Chase in that offense and Joe Burrow has a big week, but we'll get into that Sunday. But even so, you're 0-2. I don't care what I think I don't care what I think your upside is. You start out 0-2, and in the ugly way you started 0-2, there's no shot you can be in my top 10 right now.
You lost to Cooper Rush, guys.
I mean, facts.
Yeah, like come on. I know the Vikings did that last year, but that ain't excusable.
No,
and I am kind of in wait and see mode with the Vikings now. Like you have just polar opposites in week 1 and week 2. I'm interested to see what they do against the Lions this weekend. We'll obviously talk about that on Sunday, but let's get into the actual game on our hands tonight. The magnificent matchup of Mitchell Trubisky and Jacoby Brissett.
I'm kicking myself in the ass over it, man. This sucks.
It's okay, man.
Everybody watching.
We got to get lucky enough that your cousin is cutting Lane Johnson's hair at the same time that we're.
Listen, he did say there will be others. Like it wasn't a one and done type deal for everybody listening. It was like there will be other opportunities, but my cousin A is very bad with his phone. I've learned that over years and years of talking to the kid. So there's that. And then B, like, listen, man, he called and I was like, what? Like, he called me earlier and it was over an accident. Like, he literally called me this morning and I was like, yo, I woke up. I was like, yo, you called? He goes, yeah, my bad. Didn't mean to. So he called it now and didn't text me. And I'm like, yo, you called. Can I call you at the show? Thinking it's no big deal. And he's like, yo, dum-dum, answer the phone. I'm with Lane. I'm walking out of his house with him. And then I didn't see the text for like 3 more minutes. And then he was gone in his car by the time. So it's a real kick in the ass here for me. It's like a almost had you moment.
Who do we want to win?
Who do I want to win on Monday? It's an interesting conversation, man. So by the way, Jock Talk, tune back in on Sunday, live 10 a.m. Scotty and I will be back here on DSM Media.
We'll be live Monday too.
We will. So a lot more talk over this Cowboys-Giants game. For early predictions, Scotty, I'm going to say the Cowboys. It sounds weird because obviously I know like Dak will be back in a couple weeks, so you kind of want to create as much separation as you can get. But also the Giants have been better than I thought would be advertised. So I'd like to see them finally kind of get knocked off and kind of if the Eagles can win, kind of give them a step over everybody,
everyone.
Not just the Cowboys. So yeah, it's tough, but right now I'll say I'd rather have the Giants lose.
It's like, do you think grand scheme or do you think just Dallas? You know what I mean? Like that's what you got to decide within your own mind. And I think we discussed earlier on in the season, like Dallas isn't as good, even with Dak, as they were predicted to be. Their defense does look good.
Right, but then you watch them beat the Bengals on Sunday, and it's like, damn, like maybe their defense is that good. So
their defense is really good. I will give them that.
Listen, man. We got about 9 or 10 minutes to get into this Thursday night matchup, and we'll spend about 5 minutes on it. I'm serious. This is.
I know.
Like,
I know. That's the funny part.
It should be a good matchup. It's an AFC North division battle. It's Browns Steelers. They're both healthy. Like there's no big injury to either side. But when you're talking about a quarterback matchup of Mitch Trubisky and Jacoby Brissett, I'm really lacking interest in this one. The only interest I have is right, and TJ Watt's out. The only interest I have is that the Steelers cover the early payout or at least win the game from a DraftKings purpose.
I got you.
That's really it.
I got a gauntlet for you, nonetheless. Okay. I've prepared us for this moment of
hit me with it.
Nothing to talk about.
Hit me with it.
This game is we'll see. Maybe it'll surprise us and be the greatest game of the year so far.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
No, it won't. No, it will not.
No, I'm with you, man. Browns 4.5-point cover. Do they cover tonight?
Well, here's the interesting.
You're going Steelers, right?
Well. Can I throw you something interesting?
Yeah.
So on one hand, I did take the Steelers money line early payout, which means they can either win the game or get up 7-0 at any point, and I win from that point of view. But also, FanDuel boosted one of the accounts to Browns cover 4.5 from -320 to plus $100 max bet. So I've taken both. So either way, the Browns cover, Steelers don't do anything. Steelers win, Browns don't cover, or best of both worlds. Both things happen here tonight, and I'm sitting pretty.
Hell yeah. And then thinking about the quarterback situation, who has a better game? Mitchell Trubisky or Jacoby Brissett?
You know what? I'm going to go Mitchell Trubisky. Also, because if there's any gambling people out there, I do have George Pickens anytime touchdown score at plus 550.
I slammed that too, man. Oh, my God.
I did. He wants the ball more.
I did, man. I slammed that.
He needs the ball more. And you know what? Mitch had a bad week last week against Bill Belichick and the Patriots, and the offense hasn't looked good in Pittsburgh. But he has weapons, or more so weapons in the receiving game than the Browns do for Brissett.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Mitch Trubisky guy by any stretch of the imagination. However, I think there's more to his passing attack than advertised. So I do think that Mitch and the Steelers have a better night than the Browns do.
I'm with you. I ultimately am leaning the same way here, quite honestly. And I did slam the George Pickens study anytime touchdown just because of Mitchell Trubisky saying he needs to get him the ball. So get him the goddamn ball. That's the way I'm looking at that. Chubb versus Harris. So Nick Chubb versus Najee Harris. Who has the better game tonight?
Well, here's another parlay I have, Scotty. As you see, I need to make this game interesting, so there's a lot of bets on the line here. There is a risk-free bet on FanDuel that I have Nick Chubb, 60-plus rushing yards, Deontay Johnson, 50-plus receiving yards, and a Najee Harris anytime touchdown score, plus 426. So this one's tough because Chubb has been the more consistent, better runner through the 2 weeks here so far. Yeah. But I think if the Steelers are to have success tonight, and I did pick that money line, I do need Najee Harris to have the better game. So I'm going to go Najee Harris.
I like it, man. I do think I trust the Steelers defense a lot more too, man. I will say
it's
that.
Weird though, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
why?
It is weird.
Why do we?
The Browns defense is supposed to be good, but we watched Joe Flacco shred the Browns for 4 touchdowns, 300 yards.
And even though the Steelers lost, the Patriots didn't shred.
They only put up 17 points. Yeah. So, I mean, it's different. The way the Browns lost was brutal in week 2. And maybe we're weighing that in a little too much, but who knows? Deontay Johnson versus Amari Cooper. Who has a bigger game tonight? I would imagine Deontay Johnson since you're leaning.
I mean, Scotty, we're full Pittsburgh train tonight.
Yeah, so we're riding the train. I'm with you. To Steel City.
For all intents and purposes, we are going with Deontay Johnson.
We are PA. We are the Steagles tonight.
Oh, yeah. We are, 100%. 100%. And listen, I'll say this to wrap up the show. I did have 2 dreams last night, and I need to share this with everybody because I don't know if you ever heard of the dream bet.
The dream.
But I placed this Steelers bet a couple days ago. Ready for this one? For everybody listening? Ready for a little story time? So, I had a dream last night that the Browns got the ball first. First down, run, picked up a couple yards. Second down, nothing. Third down, Jacoby Brissett throws a pick to the right sideline. Steelers get the ball in Browns territory, score a touchdown. I get the early payout, right? Then, later in the night, I have a dream of the freaking dream, Scotty. I have a dream that I knew the first dream was a dream and that the game was actually on now, and that the Steelers got the ball first and went and marched down and scored a touchdown. So that's 2 dreams that
Let's
the Steelers
go.
get up 7-0.
I took
So
that
listen,
early payout too.
I don't know
bro.
if that means the Browns are a lock to get up 7-0 or I'm a psychic, but either way, it's a hell of a story.
We're gonna
And
ride.
let's hope. Listen,
Hey.
all I'm going to say is if Jacoby Brissett throws an interception on 3rd down on the first drive, we all need to have a conversation about what's going on in my mind because there's something's either incredibly loose or incredibly tight upstairs for me. But nonetheless, let's wrap up this Thursday edition of NFL Turf Talk. It's been a crazy, exciting, great episode.
It's been a very
Turf Talk.
exciting
And I promise
fun
everybody
episode.
that's listening, I'm going to try my damnedest to get Lane Johnson or Jason Kelsey on the show. I don't care if it's for 2 seconds on a phone call to say go Birds. I'm going to try my best because our new sponsor, Jen's Barber Lounge, does attend to both of those guys. So we do have the opportunity. I did F this one up. I'm sorry. And not answer the phone call when I should have. But next time I will definitely answer the phone no matter what. And I'm sorry if next time Scotty, put it this way. If I answer the phone next time and all you hear is what's up, bro? And it's just my cousin, that's not my fault. It's not my fault because I'm expecting Lane Johnson to be on the other end of the line and I can't be held accountable for what comes on the other side. But with that being said, Scotty, I'm rolling with the Steelers tonight. Who do you got?
I'm rolling with the Steelers as well. I'm taking the Steelers
Let's
early. I
go.
took the early payout as well with the Steelers. Slam 50 on them.
Let's do it.
And then, of course, I do got one parlay for you as
Hit me.
well. I'm kind of riding your coattail. But I went with a running back combo. So a Najee Tutty and a Chubb Tutty. I have Mitch going for over 150 passing yards, airing it out.
Let's go.
And
Oh,
then-
yeah. Airing it out, Mitch. 152 tonight.
Right, 150 plus. Let's get it. And Deontay plus 40 receiving yards. Steelers money line. That comes out to a plus 1,400. I got a 30% parlay boost. So I just sent it. We'll see what happens. I'm hoping for something tonight, but that is going to be it for this episode of Turf Talk. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the page. We will see you on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. If you're not already following DSM Media on all social media platforms, you can find us on Twitter at DSM_media, on TikTok at DSM Media, Instagram, DSM.DoSomethingMajor. For myself, you can find me at Scotty Drown on all social media platforms and my faithful co-host, Dylan. We will be back Sunday. You can find him at DylanJD98. That's going to be it for this episode, guys. Peace.